Welcome to another edition of Anglican Unscripted. This is episode 148, A New Year, the Same Old Team. I'm Kevin Carlson.
And I'm George Conger, and today's January 1st, 2015.
Welcome to the first episode of 2015. George and I are excited too, although we're recording late in the day because we both slept in. We were both up late. Did you make it to 10 last night, George?
Oh, I got to 10, and Susan set the alarm and woke up to watch the ball drop in Times Square, but me, I slept right through it.
Yeah, we stayed up late, but we were watching a movie. We stopped the movie at 12 to celebrate for about 30 seconds and continued into the movie. That's what you do when you're in your 50s. Boy, when I was 20, New Year's Eve was a different time of life, and I'd wake up with a headache. No headache today, thank God.
My parents went to bed at 8:30, so... But they get up at 4 a.m., so there you go.
Well, we should let people know we're both recorded in a hostile environment. George is obviously in his home, and I moved the Anglican TV studios back to the living room of the Carlson household because the Carlsons are in transition as we'll be moving to a different house, probably in the spring sometime, and I didn't want to sign another long-term lease. So you get what you got, same background, looking nice white, but it is what it is. So George and I have some news we need to report, and normally as you watch the show, it's more of a humorous show. This episode is not going to be as humorous as other ones because we're talking about a hit-and-run incident that happened in Maryland. George, what are some of the give us the facts on the ground?
The Saturday before Christmas, the Right Reverend Heather Cook, Suffragan Bishop of Maryland, Saturday afternoon, was driving in the city of Baltimore, hit and killed a cyclist named, I believe, Richard Palermo, father of two, man in his early 40s. Bishop Cook left the scene of the accident and returned sometime thereafter. Palermo died on the way to the hospital. This next day, Bishop Eugene Sutton, the Bishop of Maryland, released a public statement to his clergy, and that alerted the news media. Anglican Inc. and a local Baltimore newspaper, Baltimore Brew, were the first people out there with the news. But later that night, the Daily Mail in London broke the story that Bishop Cook had, in 2010, when she was serving as the canon of the ordinary of the Diocese of Easton, been arrested for driving under the influence, DUI.
Now, and that fact has what's really blown the story on the internet out of proportion. In my opinion, she was involved in a DUI in 2010. Her blood alcohol level is 0.27. She had managed to hit a curb, shred her tire. That's how she got pulled over. Failed the sobriety test. Didn't know she was taking a sobriety test. That's pretty bad.
Open bottles of alcohol in her car, marijuana paraphernalia,
and that's
bad scene.
That situation has inflated a horrible situation that exists in 2014. We have a cyclist who's dead. We have a bishop who is involved in a hit and run. And it's interesting to watch the Christian internet respond to this. George and I are going to go over some facts with you. We're going to talk about some of the rumors that are out there. We're going to talk about how this affects some of the players, like the Bishop of Maryland, who's going to certainly be a leading candidate for the next presiding bishop, and then hopefully explain to you a proper Christian response to this. George, what are the facts from this accident?
Well, we need to first off say that the police have not issued their report, nor has the state's attorney in Maryland. Bishop Cook is speaking through her lawyer, as is a proper thing to do in a criminal case. So we only have the basic facts, and then we have local press reporting to add to it. And we have witness statements, but those witness statements have not been tested in a court of law. The bishop is reported to have been holding a cell phone in her hand when the accident occurred, leading some to conclude that she was making a phone call or that she was texting. After the accident, she left the scene in her car. She fled the scene. Bishop Eugene Sutton, in his announcement to the diocese of the accident, said that she returned within 20 minutes. A number of newspapers, the Post in Washington, the Baltimore Sun, interviewed witnesses at the scene, one of whom said he followed Bishop Cook on his bicycle to a gated apartment community so that he could get the license number of the car. He was not allowed into the community and went back to the scene to inform police of the accident. And he is saying that it took up to 45 minutes for Bishop Cook to return. Mm-hmm. That is what we know. We do not know if alcohol is involved. We do not know if she was texting. All we know was that Palermo is dead, and the bishop was driving the car, and that she left the scene for some period of time.
Right. So those are the facts that are gone. Now the rumors always go back to a person's history. And the rumors on the internet are that she was drinking, that that all the worst case scenarios could happen, and it's the perfect storm. Female bishop in this environment, in this day and age, a person who already had a previous DUI, a person who was just elected a bishop, and the people who elected her did not know about her previous record. It's a perfect storm for the internet. And we've seen that. George, what are some of the rumors we've heard?
Well, there's some very unkind and ill-informed commentary out there that the accident was caused because she was a woman bishop. Okay, fine. The biggest story that I think has some sort of merit to be investigated is what was she doing when she was driving so that the accident occurred?
Yeah.
Was it pure inattention to the traffic, or if she was indeed texting, was she texting using a diocesan phone or conducting diocesan business? Had she just left a diocesan or a church-related project? The reason why I say this is that we have the tragedy of the death of the cyclist. We have the criminal matter of the responsibility for that death. Then we have the civil wrongful death suit. Bishop Cook, I don't think, is a wealthy woman. The Diocese of Maryland has deep pockets. A civil lawyer in a trial will go after the diocese for tens of millions of dollars. I mean, the dead man has young children, and they need to be taken care of, and it is proper and right that compensation be paid.
Yeah, I mean, if she were texting while driving, or texting church business, diocese business, I would be lawyering up if I were on the steering committee, and if I were the Diocese of Baltimore, I'd be hiring the best defense attorneys available, because this is where consequences have expensive results.
The next issue is, was she drinking again? People have been speculating that she left the scene in order to disguise the fact that she had been drinking, or she went home to have a drink, and so could therefore say after the fact that when she was tested, because she was so shaken by the accident, she had to go for a stimulant. Again, we know none of this, and it profits no one to speculate about that until the police record and report. Now, let me just give a bit of background about Bishop Cook and her election. People who don't like women bishops and priests some of them have unkindly prejudged this whole situation. Others who are just as deeply blind on the opposite extreme see no wrong. Bishop Cook was one of a slate of 5 women running for the diocese. The diocesan office is suffragan bishop. And she has roots in the diocese. Her father was a rector of a prominent church, Old St. Paul's in Baltimore, and she's been a priest for 20 years. She has a good standard career. She disclosed, the diocese tells us, actually told us on Monday, that they were aware, the search committee was aware of her 2010 arrest for driving while intoxicated. But they did not feel it was pertinent information to share with the electors at the diocesan convention. Bishop Cook, it was a weak field, to be frank. There was a late-minute local nominee.
George.
No, there was a late-minute local nominee, Victoria Serrata, who I have to say was a professor of mine at Yale Divinity School, and who, if I were a voter, I would have voted for her simply because I know her to be a wonderful, godly woman. But Bishop Cook was probably the most conservative of the four people put forward by the Electoral Committee. So, I mean, she, you know, circumstances of this accident aside, she has been a productive, well-liked, good bishop. She's not like some other women bishops who have not done justice to their office. The question arises, why did the search committee not tell the diocesan convention about this prior incident? And why did they make the decision not to share information that if she were a rector and if the search committee put her forward for a job, a vestry should know this sort of thing?
Yeah. And so now we get to the point of how does this affect the current bishop of Maryland?
Eugene Sutton is a liberal.
He's liberal, but we need to be upfront here. You actually interviewed for a job in Maryland.
Yes, when I was looking for a new post, I interviewed up in the Diocese of Maryland, and I met with Bishop Sutton, and Bishop Sutton knew about my thinking and my background. And there have been dioceses where I've been told flat out that they hold their nose when I come by. Bishop Sutton told me that he would welcome me into the diocese, that he wanted to. Bishop Sutton is an old school liberal in the sense that he believes and welcomes a diversity of viewpoint and opinion. He is, let me put it this way, if he had been presiding bishop, not Catherine Jefferts Schori, there'd be no ACNA right now. There'd be none of these lawsuits. And he is a reconciler. He believes and supports the progressive agenda. But the conservatives in his diocese love him as an individual who is kindly and God-fearing and caring.
It's because
they don't agree with his theology, but he really is a great guy.
He's not a dragon slayer. And, and that...
He is really a front runner to be candidate to be presiding bishop. And how he handles this case will determine if he's presiding bishop. If he messes this up, I think it'll kill his chances to be presiding bishop. If he does a good job in handling this crisis, I think it may well cement his chances to show that here is somebody who in the moment of crisis and a moment of deep tragedy is able to work productively. And so this is a test for Bishop Sutton.
Now, the Christian response. The Christian response should be raising money, if you can, for the family of the victim. I'm going to put a link on the website here. There's already a funding campaign for his family. And it's to pray about the situation and not do the rumors and do what's being done on the internet. Let what this country does so well, the rule of law, work. And also, we have what's called presumed innocent. And we need to let these things work and let it work out. And, it disappoints me that the first story that we have to report in 2015 is such a dark story. And it's a bad story for what happened. It's made worse for, some of the Christian response I see to the story.
Yeah, some people have not done themselves credit in how they've responded to this terrible tragedy. Just set aside the fact, if Heather Cook were not an Episcopal bishop, how would people's attitudes change towards this? In other words, to the situation, the death of a man, the destruction of a woman's life for having caused this death. We really need to pray for her and that God's will be made known to us and how this unfolds. Her role as a bishop really is secondary right now to her role as a human being and her role as a person of faith.
So we ask that you all keep this in prayer, and we will catch you. I hope we can return to a normal schedule of taping, George. What do you think? Are you able to do that?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed. God bless and have a good week, people.